Welcome back to the pod. Here we are. We are back in the lab, folks. It's been too long. I've been gone for too long. My name is Mike Heath. I am the host of this podcast, and it is a joy to have you here with me. Thank you for being here. People have asked, Mike, why haven't you done a podcast all summer? Because I was on summer break, just like those little kiddos, your little children's, your little descendants who you sent back to school. They sent me back into the lab. So here I am, and I've come all from around the world. We did a Europe trip, and Meg will hop on the next podcast episode, hopefully, and we'll be able to share about that. I did go to Nashville and Illinois went to Illinois with her, Megan, my wife, and went to Nashville to check out the comedy scene there. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, here's what's coming down the pike. We're going to talk about trip to Illinois and Nashville, checking out the comedy scenes in Normal, Illinois and Nashville, Tennessee. Almost said Texas. We got etiquette. We have a serious etiquette issue we got to bring up. We have stories from Uber because I am currently in the middle of two jobs, or as my wife says, unemployed. Excuse me. And so I'm driving Uber to make some money right now. Big life changes, trying to laugh through it. I got a couple business ideas. I have a recommendation to revolutionize your laundry game, and that might be it. And who knows what else we'll find along the way. Welcome back to the Average Oddcast with Mike Heath. Here is the etiquette situation for this week. All right, here's a picture. If you're watching on YouTube, this is a good point. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, join us there, watch there, or don't. But if you want to see the video, also on Spotify, I think you can see the video too. So those are two great places. But Spotify, follow us there as well. Do all the things. We love you. I appreciate you. You're the bee's knees. Here's a picture. Okay, so this is the corner outside of my apartment. And I believe that there is something legally happening that is socially unacceptable. So we have two one-ways, an intersection with two one-ways. So one way going east-west, a one-way going north-south. And it's going the one-way. This isn't good. This is so confusing. All right, so we got a one-way going west and a one-way going north. I live on the corner of that street. And on the corner of that street, there is a driveway exit, and then there is a gap in the curb that is technically legal to park in. However, that is also an undesignated turning lane because it doesn't have the paint on the road, but it has a light. It has a turn light. Therefore, it's obvious that people are coming into this lane to turn right onto the next one way. And let me just note this. This is one of the last remaining intersections in the entire city of Seattle that you can turn right on red. I don't know who got elected. I don't remember voting for this, but in the America that I grew up in, you could always turn right on red. And there was the occasional intersection where where one could not turn, but the majority was that you could. The city of Seattle has for some reason decided that we're not doing that anymore, that you have to not turn right on red. You have to wait for the green light. I don't know why. I will do so much. I will give up. I might be willing to pay more in taxes to be able to do this because it is driving me bonkers. So if you're in Seattle, write in. If you know if this is happening in your city, call in on the hotline. Check the link in the show notes. Write in, email me if you don't want to leave a voicemail, MikeTonyHeath@gmail.com. Write in, is this happening in your city? Have you lost the American freedom rights to turn right on red? Another thing, all these stores are locking up these toiletries. Who is stealing $3 sticks of deodorant? Are you turning a profit? Do you need deodorant? I will buy you deodorant. Stop stealing it so they stop putting our deodorant and the rest of our toiletries behind cages. I only exclusively shop at stores with cage-free deodorant. If you have your deodorant locked up, you've lost my business. I believe deodorant should roam free like the chickens. All right. So here's the corner. One of the remaining intersections you can turn right on red in the whole city of Seattle. And there is, again, a technically legal parking spot in that turning lane. There's no signs to say you can't, but it's obvious there is another light, and people do it all the time. There's a light for the turn lane, separate from the ongoing one-way lane. And there is a red Jeep that parks there every day. It's not always parked there, but it does park there every day. So it's someone coming into the neighborhood or coming to this part of the neighborhood, driving their car, parking it there, leaving, coming back the next day, and doing it all over again. So they're moving their car into this spot every day. They must work real early in the morning because it's always like the car parked there, Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends as well. I don't think they live in my apartment building, but they might. If you're listening to this, I have a bone to pick with you. I think even though it's legal, you are inconveniencing everybody because you are blocking our ability to turn right on red. Now, yes, the city should put up a sign. It should be illegal to park there. But it technically isn't. But I think it is socially unacceptable. Now, if you're a tourist, you're a one-time parker in this spot, I will give you grace. Because maybe you don't know. Maybe you're in a hurry. You're going to the chiropractic center down there. You're running late for a meeting. You're trying to, I don't know, you're going to a store. Yeah, it's fine. You know, it's a random car. You know, I'm bummed. But this red Jeep is there every day. So you either are the most oblivious person on God's green earth, or you have no respect for your fellow man and woman and fellow humans on this earth. Who is the red Jeep? Write in. Let me know if you're him or her or them. And I want to know, is this socially acceptable or is this a foul? I think this person, shame on them. I normally say shame off you, but this is, you need to change. You need to change. Down with the red Jeep. Turn right on red. Free our deodorants. This is our etiquette portion. Thank you. I got a little ranty. Again, I've already recorded this episode yesterday, and I got fired up yesterday about it, and I'm still fired up. I'm sweating. I'm so fired up. This summer, we did some fun things. Like I said, look forward to a future episode with my wife, Meg, about our trip to Europe and comedy over there. I want to share it with her. You know, I've got some funny stories, I think, some great. But we also had a great trip to Illinois to go visit our friend and friend of the podcast. Some would say arguably the unofficial, official, semi-pro, semi-amateur, semi-everything co-host Kyle Chuckwacken Oltekin is a dad now. I think we've talked about it in the pod. We went to go visit their family. That's how we started our summer break, was going to visit them. So fun. Phenomenal. I went to an open mic in Normal at this bar. It was like a mixed mic. But I met this comedian there. I can't remember his name, but he was like probably in his like 40s or 50s, just starting out. And I loved his enthusiasm. You know, he said he's going to make it. He's going to make it one day. I don't know what that means to him per se, but best of luck to you. It was a wild room, and it was very like heckly. I don't think they have a lot of comedy there that happens, or I don't know. Maybe people are just gone. But that was like fine. You know, it was just like Normal's like a little college town. There's no comedy club there. From what it looks like, there is like a comedy Facebook group, but they don't have like a ton of mics that happen. I think there's like 1 or 2 comedy only mics, but like they weren't happening the days that I was in Normal. But I would love to go back to Normal one day and do a show there. You know, I tried to hop onto a show. There just wasn't a lot happening, you know. But then me and Chuck, we extended our little trip, just us, the boys trip. Now the boys trip got him away from his newborn son, which was, you know, I was thankful that he wanted to come with me down in Nashville. It worked out just like, you know, we drove down with his wife and dropped off them and the child with his in-laws, and that was fun. And we went down to Nashville and we were checking out the comedy scene there. I want to see what it was about, baby. I want to see what it's about down there. And had a ton of fun. Went to some great shows. We went to Zanies. I've been wanting to go to Zanies, like just one of the best clubs in America. You hear so much about, you know, some of my favorite comedians, Nate and Dusty and the whole like Nate Land crew, you know. So we went to the Monday show there. You never know who's going to pop in. It's like one of those. But like my favorite memory was this open mic at this bar we went to. I can't remember the name of the bar, and I forgot to look it up. It's fine. I wish I could say it, but it was just an open mic at this bar. It's comedy only, so that ideal. It's a long, narrow room. It's like a tube. It's like it's not like the shape of a tube, but it's like it's just a bar. It's a long, narrow room. The entrance to the bar, you know, is on the far side, you know, in the front of the building, and the stage, they had a stage area. It was well lit. It was great setup. It's on the opposite side. So there's like this whole long room in between. And those situations are not ideal for comedy. You want everybody up close to the stage and then kind of filtering back. So everyone's just spread out, and, you know, that's not ideal. But I just say there's like a ton of room happening there, open space. And I'm doing my set. I get up on stage. I do my set. It's going like about as good, you know, as I normally do. It's not like exceptional. It's not like the worst I've ever done. It's just like run of the mill. I'm getting some laughs, getting some chuckles. You know, I'm having fun. And then in the middle of my 5 minutes or whatever it is, wasn't a ton of time. Yeah, about like 5 minutes. It was actually a lot for an open mic. But this bachelorette party walks in. Now, it was okay, so it was a bachelorette party. I only share this because this is helpful, relevant later in the story. Okay, so it was this Hispanic group of women, about 15 women for this bachelorette party. And you can tell they're a bachelorette because like the sashes they're wearing is like bride to be or whatever. And they are so loud. And I don't blame them. They're having the night of their lives. They're out in Nashville, the bachelorette party capital of not just the U.S., the world, and they're there. You know, they've dreamed about this. Their friends about to say I do. It's this beautiful thing. They are hyped, and they probably don't even know that there's a comedy show going on. They don't know the open mic is happening, and they're gone, dude. They're not registering, but they have completely. Everyone turns around in their seats, disrupting the room. They're yelling. And I try to address it in a funny way. Actually had a pretty good riff, I thought, which I'll play here for you in a second on the situation. So pretty proud of myself for that. What? It was very relevant at the time because this film that I mentioned had just come out. But then they're not listening to me. They're not listening to anybody. I think even somebody walks up to them and tries to tell them to be quiet. They're in their own world. They're having their own party, and they just happen to be in this bar where this open mic is happening. I hope they figure out who's going to use the bathroom.
Congratulations, who's getting married? I like this. I like a lot of noise when I'm on stage. Usually it's a lot like the film A Quiet Place. Everyone's just afraid to make a noise. All right, I've been Mike Heath. Thank you.
Hell yeah, Matt Heath. Give it up to Matt Wright for showing attractive guy candy. That's my friend today. Man, that's great. On deck. That's John Matt. Somebody coming to stage.
And then I get off stage, and the host comes up, and this is where it gets wild. So the host, I believe, was also of like Hispanic descent. And so he's getting up, he's trying to address what's going on in the room and trying to reset the room as a good host would do. He's like, he's like making fun of them for being loud Mexicans, his words, not mine. And he's like, hey, my cousins are here or something like that. It's like very funny. And it does like get the room back into it. But these girls like aren't having it. And then so he gets a little bit more like stern, like if you're going to stay here, you're going to have to be quiet. And I think one of the girls like was listening to him the whole time, and she becomes irate. So the host is introduced the next comedian. He is leaving the stage, and she is making a beeline, drink in hand, approaching him, be like, "Hey, you racist, you don't talk about my people like that." It's like, I am. Now everyone's looking at this. The next comedian's on stage, but everyone's focused on this fight that's about to go down between this male host and this drunken bachelorette. I mean, I think she was like the maid of honor. So she is like, I got to protect my girls, and all this thing. You don't talk about my people like that. It's like and the host is like, I am your people. Like, we are of the same race. She wouldn't hear him out. And she's like, you racist. And he's like, whoa, like, you're being so rude right now. and so she's not hearing him, and she just dumps her drink on top of his head, and he's just there speechless, and she just turns around and walks off, and they leave. And we're just speechless. Like, that is insane, dude. Because, man, you've heard about Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith, and that's like, it's happening at every stage. It's happening at your local open mic. It's happening to Chris Rock. People are being assaulted. I don't know if that's assault. Being people, let's say we're being attacked. It's a water attack. There's on the waterfront, there's an attack. And that was crazy. And the host, he played off great. He changed his shirt. I think he had an extra shirt, and he had to change his pants too. I mean, he was wet all over, and that was hilarious, but also crazy. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's going down in Nashville. The Nashville comedy scene is not for the faint of heart. You got to be ready to fight if you're there, or defend yourself, or really, I think maybe my best advice after my time in the Nashville comedy scene would be pack an extra pair of clothes, especially if you're hosting a show, because you don't know if it's about to go down. I just had to double check that we were recording. My heart sank. I was like, wait, did I push record? We're good. Like I mentioned before, now some time for some Uber stories. I got a couple of funny stories from my first couple of weeks of driving Uber, as I've been transitioning out of my old job into applying for more jobs. And so it was like the first weekend I was driving Uber, I went down to Tacoma. So if you don't know, Seattle and Tacoma is like one big metro area, but Tacoma is like 50 miles south of Seattle. And I drove down to Tacoma Comedy Club. Dustin Nickerson, comedian, very funny, was doing a show there, so I wanted to go see him. And I watched the show. He killed. It was great. I love his new hour. Very excited about all the cool things happening for his career as someone who is from Seattle. he is like he claims, he claims it, but he also is from. All right, anyways, okay. And I was out there watching this show. And I was like, oh, like because there's like this way where you can plug onto your phone. In the app, you can set your destination and then like filter rides that you want to give like to there. So I'm like 50 miles away from home, but I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be crazy if there was just like somebody like kind of along the way for part of it? I could pick somebody up and drop them off in Seattle. Like that would be like good bang for my buck. But here's the thing, and I still don't know how to do this, if you can even do this, to be honest. I feel like I should figure this out by now, but I don't know how to preview the ride that I'm about to give. So all I can see is where I go pick them up, how far away they are to pick up, and then I accept the ride. So I don't know where I'm driving these people. So I see there's somebody like down the street from the comedy club to go pick up. And I was like, well, I have the filter on, but I didn't set the time right. So it's like you want to get somewhere by somewhere, or get somewhere by some time. And I did not set that right. I think I just left it wide open. Like eventually I want to get to this point. So just take me in this direction. Well, I picked up these two kids that went to this rap concert. And right when I pulled up, I was like, oh no. It's like these two kids. I mean, they must have been just 18. I don't know. They looked so young. I'm also getting older, so that could be a part of it. But they looked so young. And they were like, oh my gosh, is this my Uber? Oh my gosh, is this? And I'm like, yes. I'm your Uber. Are you, whatever their name was, say for the sake of this, it was April and Joey. It's like, yeah, are you April and Joey? Like, yes, oh my gosh. So they get in the car and I like slide on my app, like pick up. And then I realize that I'm about to drive them 75 miles. And my heart sinks because they're already in my back seat, buckled up, ready to go. Praise God, they were going north with me but they were going 25 miles north of Seattle. And I was like, what if this would have been the opposite direction? So I have to drive 70 miles south? Like that would have been horrible, because then I realized that I didn't actually set the destination filter on. Like I messed it up. So not only was I not going to get there in a certain time, but I didn't even plug it in correctly to block rides that were only going to Seattle. So it was just lucky that they were going north, because I could have had to drive 70 miles south or just kick these kids out of my car who were gone. I mean, they were obliterated. They were in a different world. Their bodies were in the back seat, but their minds were in the third heaven. Or the third other place. I don't know. They were not doing well. And they were freaking out. They're like, hey, what card is going to be charged? What card are you using to pay for this? I'm like, dude, I have no idea. I don't have access to that. That's an Uber thing. They're freaking out. I was like, I think it's going to be fine. Your card, I don't think it would go through. They worried they weren't going to be able to pay for it. And I was like, I think Uber's got your money, so I think we're good to go. So don't freak out about that. But I think they were freaking like maybe the money. I don't know. I felt bad for the kids because they're 70 miles away from home. They were hoping and praying that an Uber was going to drive them 75 miles home. They just got lucky, dude, that I don't know anything. I think I would be smarter if I didn't have so many head trauma injuries throughout my life. But that's the topic for another day. So I pick up these kids and I'm like, praise God that they're also going north and I don't have to drive 70 miles in the opposite direction. It's only 25. Well, it's going to be an extra 50. So, yeah, I don't know. But the Uber must have cost them like $250. I can't believe this happened. Anyways, I get in the car. They get in the car. They're all buckled up. I'm like, well, here I am. I'm doing it. I'm like, I don't think I can kick these kids out. And I guess it is going north, so I just kind of roll with it. And they're freaking out about it. I'm like, all right, we're good. And then after I settle their hearts about getting the monies right, they just fall asleep in my back seat. So for the next hour and a half, there was like a ton of traffic too. So it took forever to get back because they were doing construction on the highway going north. And these kids are just passed out in my seat for an hour and a half. Like the whole time until I'm about 5 minutes to the drop off, they're out. And I kept checking. I'm like, are you breathing? About lost it all right there. One of my cameras just died. But yeah, so I'm in the middle of the story. They breathing, and they're good. That's tough to come back into this story after that camera shut off, and the angle's different. Who cares? Anyways, the kids are okay. I mean, I think they were on drugs, and I hope, I took them home. They dropped off. They got in the front door. But crazy, man. I made so much money on that trip, but it was like, I was like nervous. I was like, these kids are going to throw up in my back seat, or I hope that they're, number one, like, it's like my third ride on Uber. I'm just like not comfortable with it yet. And I was going through my head, like, if these kids have like some sort of like heart attack or something, like, what do I do even? And everything was okay and everything worked out. So I was thankful for that. This week's episode of the Average Oddcast is brought to you by our friends at the Nitpick Collective. The Nitpick Collective is an online clothing brand that represents a group of artists and comedians. Their site offers unique all-over print sweatshirt designs, as well as apparel that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Let me ask you, do you like frogs on penny farthing bikes? How about rainbow unicorns? How about vacuuming every day? Well, then this site might be for you. You can use the promo code so many things, no spaces in there. It's all caps, and you can get 20% off shirts, hoodies, and hats. Pull up a tab on your cell phone or wherever you're watching this, wherever you're listening to this, and go to the Nitpick Collective. That's knit with a K, and tell them Mike sent you. And that was the best story. I probably should have saved that one for last. Some other just couple like funny, it's like just funny things. Like I pick up this one lady at the like her apartment. I was like, it looked like I was taking her to work. Essentially, that was just like based off like when I picked her up. Like, oh, we're going to da 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 chiropractic center. Nah, the red Jeep. We're going to Lewis's tire shop or whatever, and she's working the desk there, and I'm like pulling out of her like apartment parking lot, and one of her neighbors is like backing up, or someone parked in there is backing up out of the parking spot. And I see they have their cup of coffee is on their roof. So I give them like a gentle, like beep, beep, like a little honk. And dude, this person must have the worst day ever. She turns around like with her window, like, what the damn, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, I'm like, what do you want me to do? Back it up out of this parking spot. I'm like, whoa, dude. I'm like trying to let her know. I'm like, on your roof, there's a cup of coffee. And she thinks I'm like telling her to like go and like get out of the parking lot. I'm like, and so she's just, like slurring at me. And I got this rider in the back seat. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to let her know, oh, she has a coffee on top, because I'm trying to let her know I'm not some jerk. Like, I'm looking to get a tip. I'm a nice guy. I'm trying to look out for her. So this woman flips me the bird and then peels out of the parking lot. And then at that moment, she turns right. It was a green light. No right on red there either. And the coffee cup spills out in the street. It was full. I mean, like a 16-ounce, like full coffee that I'm sure she just made or bought, and goes ever. And I see her look in the rear view mirror and go, oh. The sense of relief that I felt in that moment, for one, it feels good to be right. I don't know if that's a man thing, but it was just like, I knew this wasn't going to go well. And I was looking out for you. I was trying to be a good person in the situation. And, I don't want, as an artist, I guess, I don't want to be misunderstood. So I was like, she thinks I'm a jerk. I don't want people to think I'm a jerk. I want to be nice to people. I want to help people out. So like to see her realize that like, oh, I was the one being the jerk. This guy was trying to help me out. Felt so satisfying. But it was a very awkward ride with that girl, because I think she like didn't look up from her phone the whole time. So I don't know if she knew what was happening, and she also had her AirPods in, didn't want to talk. So That was awkward. I don't think I ever got a tip from that ride, but I did get paid. Making that paper. Yeah, not a lot, but it's enough, and we're getting through it. But just like 2 nights ago, I went did an open mic, and I was like, oh, let me squeeze in a couple of rides because I kind of got done at the open mic earlier, and I didn't get enough rides earlier in the day, which is just the grind, baby. Welcome to the Uber grind. And I picked up this lady on the way home, and I've since learned how to do the filter correctly, like the filter destination. So I knew this one was on my route or about on my route home. So I picked up this lady, and I didn't know who I was picking up. It was like the name was like really confusing. Like it didn't even look like it, like not even like a gendered name. It just didn't even look like a English or any language. It didn't. Gosh, I'm sad. My Missouri's showing. It just didn't look like a name. It was just like random letters. I don't know how they did that, but whatever. I picked them up from a motel, and it's about 11 p.m. So it's just like odd. Like, I don't know, like who is like leaving their motel room at 11 p.m. And it's like a very sketchy, dumpy motel on Aurora Avenue. And if you live in Seattle, you know what Aurora Avenue is. And I'm sitting there for like 5 minutes. Like the timer's almost up for like how long you have to wait for the rider before you move on. And they're like, oh, I'm coming. So I'm like, okay, I'm a little frustrated at this point, but whatever. I get this ride in. And they get into the car. And it's a woman. And I drive her about 10 minutes back north on Aurora and drop her off on the street. And my heart broke, man. I was just like, golly, dude. This isn't funny. This is just like, I think I gave a lady of the night because she left a single dollar bill in the back seat. I'm assuming as a tip. I'm praying it was a tip, not as like it fell out of her pocket or whatever. I don't know, man. It was sad, but it's also kind of funny. And it is sad. I mean, I hope she's just going home, but I did drop her off at a random in front of a random business that she didn't really care where I dropped her off, but in that general area, and the businesses were open, and there was already other women sanding on the side of the street there, and my heart breaks. But that was weird. It was a very awkward ride because I was kind of wondering in the back of my head. I wasn't trying to judge her. I mean, Jesus hung out with everybody, so I was like fine doing it. It's just like, what do you talk about? I mean, I don't want to. I don't know. What are you doing tonight? I'm not asking that, dude. I don't want to hear the answer. If she says it, I'm so scared of the answer that's going to come out. It's going to break my heart even more. And that's so awkward. I'm already so awkward in these situations. Anyways, man, I don't know. I gotta quit this. I gotta quit driving Uber. I gotta get a job. So if you know anybody, man, let me know. I got some business ideas, but I don't think any of them I can really do them. Like, I don't know of any. I'll share one of them because the other one I don't know. I think these are. I don't know if these are great business ideas. I do think they would be funny sketches. But one person I heard talk about it, and I don't know if it's like their bit, so I don't really want to say it. Okay, camera died again. We're having so many technical difficulties. We're getting through it though. I don't know. I think I got this funny idea for I think it could be a funny sketch. It's called Rent an Uncle. So it's for dudes, who are looking for some part-time work, or if you're good enough, maybe full-time, and people could, sign up. You can get it's kind of like one of those like dating apps, but it's not for dating. You just get matched with an uncle. So like you set your preferences on what you're looking for. Like I'm looking for like a single dad or like a single guy with no kids, like that kind of uncle, very fun uncle. Of course, we're going to like filter out all the creeps, very thorough background checks, like nothing weird going on. And we wouldn't I think it would be, I guess technically like babysitting. It's like the similar things like you would vet a babysitter. You would want this for that. So I think that's there's a lot of tension there. So I think you can make that really funny. And then you can have uncles of all types. It could be very funny. Like, what was a white uncle do? What's a Mexican uncle do? What's a black uncle do? And we have all those, you know, like the straight uncles, married uncles, gay uncles, this whole thing. And you have all types of uncles. I think this could be a very funny sketch. So if you're, but I don't think I can't play all the parts. So I'm going to need somebody else to do it. I tried to do it as a bit. Actually, I did Nate Jackson's comedy class. I guess it was in the summer, like the beginning of the summer, or like right before this. No, it was like at the beginning of the summer I did his class. And yeah, it was like the beginning of the summer, like into spring, beginning of summer. And I tried to do that there, and I don't know, I feel uncomfortable about it. And that's my idea for a business or a sketch. So I don't know. That's a new segment. Is it a business or is it a sketch? That's a pretty fun segment I think we could do on this show. Is it a business or is it a sketch? Maybe that's the whole premise of the show. Is it a business or is it a sketch? Now that's an idea. I don't know. Do you like that? Would that be a funny? Because I think this we need like a angle with this show, or I've been thinking about it because I don't know how is it interesting for me to just riff on life stories? I have fun doing that. I want it to be fun, and I don't want it to be, you know, I'm not looking to be the next Joe Rogan or Tiger Belly or whatever your favorite comedy podcast is. I'm not saying those are mine, but just what are those, you know? I'm not trying to be that necessarily, but I would like this to be successful. What is successful? I have no idea. I have one suggestion. There's this Instagram account called Could Be The Move, and they do like funny things, you know, like, you know, what goes in the VIP section of your refrigerator, which is like the top right corner where people normally put like butter and cheese, but like you can put cooler things there, so they like test out like could be the move. You know, here's a clip.
Quick 55-minute chat. Could be the move. Back on that old guy vibe, man. This time I want to talk about how when the boys see each other in public,
this guy
they'll post up for a solid 55 minutes and have themselves a quick chat.
So this guy has created a hanger that's like, it does everything. It's the one in all hanger. And this isn't like funny. This is like a real piece of advice. And I think this guy, I don't know how much these hangers, it's called Kangaroo Hanger. If you guys want to sponsor the pod, Kangaroo Hanger, we would love to collaborate. I would love to collaborate with Kangaroo Hanger because this drives me crazy. I have so many things that I want to hang up, but you just can't. You can't hang it up. Or like, you know, shirts that like you pull out the sleeves on them because it's like a heavy shirt, so it hangs. And so this guy he is revolutionizing the hanger game. It's insanely strong, as it says. So he's got a plastic version and like a metal version. So he's doing like guerrilla marketing on this thing. I'm into it, dude. I'm joining the Kangaroo Hanger movement. Meg's here. I got to go to a meeting. How should I sign off? All right. Stay funny, stay weird, and peace out, Girl Scouts. Ta-da-da!
Great shot!